Hello, welcome to Full Frontal with Samantha B, a place where we can put the last 4 miserable years behind us and celebrate the joy of boring leadership with nothing bad ever happening again.
This morning, amid fears of a new COVID variant on the rise in California, the pace of the vaccine rollout growing more desperate.
This weekend, deaths in the U.S. have surged to more than 416,000.
By our count, the U.S. passed 25 million confirmed COVID cases today.
And welcome back to hell already in progress. It took a year of disgraceful mismanagement to get us into this mess, so of course it'll take more than a great speech, some beautiful poetry, and a Bible the size of a mini fridge. Though to be fair, it is the large print edition. One of President Biden's biggest promises was to spend his first 100 days in office doing everything he could to fight the COVID crisis, including a goal to administer 100 million shots into the arms of Americans. Sounds tough, right? Well, fortunately for Biden, the previous administration gave him a fabulous head start.
They essentially inherited a non-existent vaccine distribution strategy from the Trump administration.
Another source saying it was further affirmation of complete incompetence of the Trump administration.
As his COVID-19 response coordinator tells the New York Times, what we're inheriting is so much worse than we could have imagined.
Despite having the coolest, fastest-sounding name a 12-year-old boy could think of, Trump's Operation Warp Speed has been frustratingly slow with vaccine distribution. Many of the details have been left to local health officials and hospitals who are already stretched thin. The goal was to have 20 million people get their first shot by the end of last year, but in actuality, only 2.8 million people had received one by that point. At that pace, vaccinating enough Americans would take 10 years. 10 years? I don't want to have to wait to get the vaccine until I'm 35. I'm already missing my 20s, and they're supposed to be the best years of my life. Not having a plan during a pandemic is bad enough, but does it get worse? Oh, of course, it always gets worse, because it also turns out that the Trump administration lied about how many vaccines they did have.
There weren't these extra doses of vaccine being held back for a second dose. Something that significant, only to find out last Friday, makes you very concerned that there's still more to be learned that you don't know.
How many vaccines we have is a way more important government mystery than what's at Area 51, which we all know anyway. Total alien fest. All over the country, shortages are now forcing states to cancel immunization appointments, even though vaccine makers are manufacturing doses at full capacity. And with unpredictable shipments and information from the federal government, states have been unable to accurately plan their own distribution, leading to thousands of vaccines winding up in the garbage. But on the plus side, our nation's raccoons are now totally resistant to COVID. Sadly, it just means they take bigger risks with their health. Even when states had vaccines ready to go, they often lacked the manpower to administer them. Fortunately, some states have recently changed their laws so more people are eligible to give shots. In New York, for example, that list now includes pharmacists, dentists, and podiatrists. But still, no late-night hosts, which is weird, considering how I've been consistently injecting giggles into the soul of America for 5 years now. President Biden has to act fast and act now. Thankfully, he's off to a good start.
Biden pledged on day one to instruct FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to start setting up community vaccination centers in school gyms, in sports stadiums, and community centers.
Well, this complicates my vaccination a bit. I'm technically not allowed within 1,000 feet of any professional sports stadium in this country because of like a stupid little incident where I tried to take off Mr. Met's baseball and realized it was his real head. Turns out Mr. Met is a real baseball man, was a real baseball man. Biden's plan would send $350 billion to state, local, and territorial governments to keep frontline workers employed, distribute vaccines, increase testing, reopen schools, and maintain vital services. But that's not all.
Biden also says he'll use the Defense Production Act to order private industry to speed up manufacturing of material needed for the vaccines, as well as PPE.
We need more supply of not just the vaccines, but the materials to get them in the arms of Americans to effectively get this done.
You see, vaccines are a lot like children. It takes a village to raise them. And because sometimes you forget to go get the second one. In addition to the materials needed to make vaccines, Biden is using the act to ramp up production of essential PPE like masks and face shields, which is going to be useful because on his first day in office, the president signed an order requiring masks in federal buildings and on federal lands. Then, on his second day, Biden signed another order mandating masks in airports and on many planes, trains, ships, and buses. And then on the third day, he just yelled, "Let's get loud," and took the rest of the day off. Starting a vaccination plan from scratch is even tougher when Biden's own health officials warned that we are woefully under capacity for testing, which is why Biden signed an executive order establishing a pandemic testing board. According to the White House, it's modeled after Franklin Roosevelt's War Production Board, though I wish it were modeled after FDR's Vision Board. Aww, he led us out of the Depression, but he never sold a show. Grass is always greener, I guess. The White House is also trying to help underserved Black and brown communities by opening vaccination centers in high-risk neighborhoods and working with trusted messengers like Black pastors. Relying on leaders in Black communities can help encourage vaccine confidence from a group that is often skeptical after facing centuries of medical discrimination and experimentation. Look, it sucks that the Trump administration never cared enough to handle this crisis. While some countries were working hard to bring new cases down to nearly zero, Trump was golfing, refusing to wear a mask, and let's be honest, probably J-ing O. Of course, Biden's plan isn't perfect, and not just because it made me have to do this piece, which itself made me have to imagine Trump J-ing O. But at least we have an administration that finally cares and has the ability to do something about this pandemic. And that, my friends, is something worth J-ing O for. Aw, thanks for watching. If you'd like to hear more from Full Frontal, hit subscribe and visit our page for more videos. Or if you'd like to be radicalized, leave YouTube on autoplay.